Hey guys, I'm back with the final part of my best of video, the best of 2016. My favorite comics, graphic novels, art comics, superheroes, ongoings, miniseries, whatever was great. So I will start right away with a graphic novel which was released in Germany last year. This is an honorable mention because I kind of forgot about it. I wanted to only include English language books, but this is something not to miss, and I looked it up. It was also released by Dover Press in the UK, I think. It's Die Frau des Magiers, The Magician's Wife, by two French artists, namely Jérôme Charin and Françoise Bouc. I'm not sure if not Jérôme Charin is an American who moved to Paris or something like that. I might have read something like this about him. What is it about? It's a very strange story, and it's about a relationship between a woman who as a child meets this guy, the new husband or partner of her mother's, and they develop this very strange, intense relationship. The man is a magician, and she's part of the magic act, and she becomes more and more the relationship. It's a French relationship where the daughter becomes the wife after a while. If you can deal with those kind of French stories, this is very intense. The artwork is phenomenal, and the switch between the magical and the real life, all the things that this little girl has to deal with in coping with this very demanding relationship. It's illustrated in such a beautiful manner. Yeah, it's fantastic. It would have probably been much higher in my charts if it was in English, because I was really blown away by it. If you can grab it, give it a shot. It's a fantastic graphic novel. Alright, now we continue with the top 10. And number 10 is The Omega Man by Tom King and Barnaby Bajenda. I will generally skip this comic in this chart because I already did a video on it. So if you want to know more details about it, I urge you to check it out. I will just say it's a very political comic. I think it's something very close to a superhero themed answer to the war on terror that is still going on, and which is pretty much unwinnable, I think. And this asymmetrical war is part of what makes this comic interesting, because you're sometimes with the rebels, the terrorists, and sometimes you understand why they're being hunted, and that Tom King was able to write it in this way, and that this book was published by DC Comics under, not under a Vertigo banner or whatever, but under their mainstream banner, is a real achievement. And yeah, it's really good. You should definitely check it out. Alright, next up is Paper Girls. Number 9 is Paper Girls, which, if it would be the most enjoyable comics of the year, Paper Girls would be even much higher. It's probably always one of the first comics that I will check out if they are in my stack. And part of the charm of the whole thing is the fantastic art by Mr. Cliff Chiang. So I absolutely enjoyed Cliff Chiang's Wonder Woman with Brian Azzarello, but this year is even greater. I really enjoyed it, watching those girls, those paper girls, jumping from time zone to time zone, from one reality to another. And Brian K. Vaughan, if you like him, you like him. If you think he writes every character in the same voice, you still like him. Because he's funny, he's entertaining, and those girls are really entertaining and funny. I was a paperboy myself, so I could somehow relate, not to the crazy action that happened here, because I delivered papers to buy comics when I was little. But really, it's a really fun book. If you haven't checked it out, what I think it's very it's not very probable because everyone has read it already, but if not, you have to give it a shot, even if you don't like Saga like me. Alright, next up is Black Hammer by Jeff Lemire and Dean Ostrom, and this is something which isn't supposed to work. It's another take on superheroes in a more mature way. So we have seen this since Watchmen and Squadron Supreme. We have seen this, I don't know, dozens of times, but this is another very successful attempt at doing that. And why is it so successful? Because Jeff Lemire writes he's not as cold as most of those guys, not as cynical. You know, all those writers from Moore to Millar and so on, and Warren Ellis, and Jeff Lemire does this thing with a lot of heart, and it's about a group of people, superheroes, obviously, who find themselves in another dimension. Probably they're refugees from their own planet. Something happened there. We didn't find out what. We're still about to find out. And they had to flee, and yeah, now they're in this new home, new dimension. They have to pretend they're a real family, though they're not. And they have to hide from the other people around them. And so it's kind of a slice of life story. Maybe we will find out in the end that it's all about a real family who imagines themselves to be refugee superheroes from another dimension. It could be possible. And every issue is focusing on one character. Yeah, what's to say? Look at this beautiful art. Dean Ostrom was my favorite artist on Lucifer. He did a few issues of Lucifer, and they were my favorite ones. So this is a dream combination of art and story, and you should give it a shot. Alright, next up is number 7. It's Superman American Alien by Max Landis, who's the writer, and a lot of artists. Every issue is it's a 7-issue series, and every issue is drawn by different artists. Nick Dragotta, Tommy Lee Edwards, Joel Jones, Jay Lee, Francis Manapool, Jonathan Case, and Jock. So this shouldn't work out because those are very different art styles, but it's a nice idea to illustrate. So this is a reimagination of Superman, of Clark Kent mainly. This is about his private life, his development as a person, as a man, and it jumps from important milestone moment in his life to the next one. And so every issue is a little slice of his life, and you can see how this alien from space develops to the superhero that we all know, and how the human side of him copes with this whole development. And it's a beautiful comic. It's a very heartwarming comic, and if you're a Superman fan, this is a must read. But even if you're not, I think this is a nice introduction to a modern take on the whole Superman myth, and it's also a non-conventional way of writing him. He's not this super nice guy all the time. He when he's into his adolescence, he also does stupid stuff like we all did, and tries to find himself. And Lex Luthor is a great character in here. Bruce Wayne shows up. It's just a fun thing, and I enjoyed it very, very much. I wish there would be a regular superhero comic like this, especially Superman comic. I know a lot of people love Tomasi's run right now, but if you read this, you see how big the potential is for a really great comic with Superman in its center. Okay. Oh. Oops. I hope you're still with me. Wait. Oh man, I really have to buy a camera. This is not working out anymore with my iPhone. So, excuse me. This will continue right away. All right, let me check if it's still running. It is. Here I am again. All right. Next up, number 6 is Big Kids. It's by Michael DeForge, and it's very small, but I don't mind, because the story is about feeling small, being a teenager. It's a coming of age story. I might have read Michael DeForge short stories before, but I wasn't I was aware of his art style, but I wasn't aware of what makes his art style so special. And the weird thing is, he can make you feel things very intensely with one little line. This is very, very interesting. I know on the first look, this doesn't look like, beautiful art or whatever. But believe me, I am someone who's very skeptical about, graphical high school art, art school art, this kind of where we just play with the form. And this is not it. This is a real story, a very intense one. And it's told in the most effective way possible, with the least amount of lines possible. And what makes it very special, so there are a lot of comics about growing up and about being a teenager and everything. So what makes this different from all is that it makes you experience the whole thing very intensely, like from the inside, like from a meta perspective, like it's taking the essence out of it through those minimalistic abstract lines, and you can take the structure, this meta structure of coming of age, and put it on you, and you're right inside those feelings that you had back then. And yeah, it's very intense. It's a bit short, unfortunately. It could be a bit longer, but well, maybe it's enough. And yeah, it also deals, of course, with very subjective experience that he made. He's homosexual, so it's about his first experiences with boys, and his parents are very difficult and things like that. So it's not maybe relatable to everyone, but the core feelings of being excluded, of wanting to be part of something special, of the looking for someone special and relatable. This is something we all experienced or still do, and this is a nice little book that you should check out. All right. So man, I'm still off the rails after this camera action here. Alright, next up is Shade, the Changing Girl. I think this is spot 4 or 5, I'm not sure. Which is by Cecil Castellucci, Sarli Zarconi and Kelly Fitzpatrick. And it's, well, to put it very short, number one, the art by Zarconi is super lovely. I love this art. I'm really very motivated to buy original art. I already wrote her because this is so beautiful. It's kind of a Mike Allred style, but a bit more how should I put it? Not that 60s. It's more modern than that. So this is again a teenage coming of age thing. So the real story is about an alien who through a vest, which is kind of I imagine it like a magical transportation device, can move into bodies from different planets, and so this alien comes to Earth and moves into the body of this young girl who is in a coma, and when she wakes up she's a really different person. She has changed for good, and she used to be a dick when she was alive, and now she's back and she's still weird, but she's different. She's not that mean anymore, and so this is the plot of it. But the thing that makes me really, love it so much is the fact that it has a very literary vibe. You know, good writers can write about a chair which doesn't move, and it's still great literature. And this is written in such a pleasant way, in such a delicate and lyrical way, that if you're into this kind of things, if you loved Vertigo back in the day, if you liked your Neil Gaiman and Peter Milligan, you will very much enjoy this. And this is also in my eyes, the biggest success out of the Young Animal line. It could be a Karen Berger comic. This is all that I will say. And it's also a beautiful one, so check it out. Shade, the Changing Girl. Alright, next up, I have to hurry up because I have to go soon, is Wild's End by Dan Abnett and ING Colbert. This is a H.G. Wells invasion of the aliens kind of book. The volume 1 was released 2 years ago. This was released last year and it's fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, I recommend to buy the first volume first, because this is where all starts and all the characters are introduced. It's anthropomorphic. I don't know if it's right what I said, but you know what I mean. So on the instead of human heads, they have animal heads. This is what I mean. And you might think, well, this is cute, but it's not. It just breaks your heart even more when gruesome things happen to them. And the art is highly effective. It doesn't look really like much, I have to say, but if you're in the comic, every little nuance is so precise. The facial expressions, the colors, everything is so I don't know. I was just a big fan. I read it, I enjoyed it so much. The ending is fantastic, and it's a bunch of people in the Victorian age, or I would say like 1910 or so, and they're from different classes, from different backgrounds, and they have to fight this alien invasion together. So in that, it's a bit similar to Black Hammer, but other than that, it's just a fun sci-fi story with a big emotional impact, and it's highly recommended. All right, number 3 of my list of the best comics of 2016 is The Fade Out by Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, and most importantly, Elizabeth Breitweiser. I would say buy this comic alone for the coloring. It's that good. The layers of light. So this is a noir story happening in old Hollywood, or the Hollywood of the late 40s, 50s, I would say. I forgot which year precisely. And she knows that old Hollywood and old noir films were all about the lightning. And she does a fantastic job regarding that. I know there are a lot of fans, you can see it here exactly on this page, a lot of fans of Sean Phillips' art, and I do enjoy it, but I have to say he obviously is someone who has to put a lot of effort into making things look right. He's not like this very natural artist. He uses a lot of photo reference, and I don't know, there is something about his art which looks very forced, and especially in the beginning of the book, the consistencies in the faces doesn't really hold up from panel to panel, so sometimes you're really thrown off by a much thicker head all of a sudden of the same character. Those are small details, but this was in the beginning a bit irritating. I bought this as a paperback when it came out, and I was like, I'm not sure, but you have to keep going. This is a fantastic story for grown-ups. It's about people coming back from the war and being destroyed basically in their very soul. There's a lot of sex going on, a lot of betrayals, intrigues, and I know that I read about the ending being not very powerful, and it's true that the ending of the story itself is a bit, well, it's not that overwhelming, but the very last page of this comic I was blown away by. This had sometimes it's just one little thing that makes the difference between just a comic and a work of art or of literature, and this is literature in pictures, and it's fantastic. Check it out. All right, next up is a book which has been talked about a lot, so I won't talk about a lot here. It's The Vision by Tom King, and I'm not sure I would still rank it that high if it wasn't for those first 6, 7 issues which they came in every month, and I was blown away by every one of them. I'm not as psyched about the second half of the run, but I think that Tom King has crafted something really, really special for Marvel Comics, who are not being known right now for being the most creative place ever, or having their most creative phase ever. So you can do all kinds of diversity and gimmicks and whatever. If you don't tell real stories and fantastic stories, you're not worth the money, Marvel Comics. So do whatever you want to do, change whatever gender, sexuality, whatever. This is not what storytelling is about. If you can deliver a fantastic story, you haven't achieved anything. So this is a masterful example of how you can turn a fairly unknown character and a fairly bland superhero concept into something masterful. I will say I'm a bit, Tom King has a certain way of writing things, and I'm not sure he should continue doing this forever, but this was the first time here that I experienced it, and it was very powerful. So if you haven't read any Tom King, this will blow you away. If you have, it's a really good Tom King book. All right, next up, and I won't talk too much about this either because there is a video on it that I made. Patience by Daniel Klaus was my favorite book of the year. Why? Well, it combines beautiful art with very entertaining adventure, sci-fi adventure love story, but also has something very meaningful in it, which makes you think and which stays with you. And it's of course how people's lives develop and what happens to the one obsessive love that you had, or this very, very intense feeling of love. Can you keep it up? Can you deliver on that in your later life? And yeah, I think Daniel Klaus outdid himself here. I'm a bit surprised that it's not on everyone's list very much high up there, and some are like, yeah, it's a good thing by Klaus, but it's not his best. I don't know. I don't agree. I think it's definitely one of his best, and we have get used to his masterful comics. But we shouldn't get used to them because they're special every time anew. And Patience, like I said, I made a special video on it. Check it out on YouTube. That's it. I have to go now. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.